I'm tired of Chrome eating up my RAM and handling my data like it's public domain. Seriously, I have nothing to hide, but that doesn't mean I want my digital life sold to the highest bidder. After 15 years of loyalty, I'm finally making a move, and this is my browser audit. To earn a spot on my SSD, a browser has to beat Chrome in 7 specific data-driven categories: RAM usage, privacy, speed, update frequency, engine, workflow, and ecosystem sync. I subjected 6 major contenders to a technical test, and the results actually shocked me. One browser used less than half the memory of Chrome, while another was so private it literally broke my test setup. Chrome is the industry standard with a market share of nearly 70%. We are going to use it as a baseline, and if a contender cannot outperform Chrome, the contender is out. Now, let's introduce the Chrome challengers. First up, Microsoft Edge as the browser we didn't choose but still ended up with. I never really used it, but I heard it's better than the old Internet Explorer. Next, Firefox is the last independent heavyweight in the browser world and runs on the Gecko engine, which is the only real alternative to Google's dominance. Third, Brave. This one is incredibly popular among my software engineer colleagues. Brave claims to put privacy first by blocking everything by default. Fourth is Zen. This is the newcomer everyone is talking about, and it even won Reddit's best browser vote earlier this year. Fifth is Vivaldi, also known as the king of customization. Being packed with tools like Mail, Calendar, and a translator, Vivaldi is basically a command center you build yourself. And finally, LibreWolf, which is basically Firefox with every single piece of telemetry and AI bloat stripped out. Now that the rules are set, let's start the audit. To keep this fair, I follow 3 strict rules for the browsers. First, fresh installs with no leftovers. Second, 0 extensions, no ad blockers, no plugins, nothing. And third, default settings only with no tweaks and no optimizations. For the test, I simulated what I call a normal user load. We are opening the exact following 7 tabs simultaneously on every browser. After 60 seconds, Chrome settled at 2210 megabytes of RAM. At the very bottom of the list, with a massive 2613 megabytes, we have Firefox. The first ones to beat the 2 GB barrier were LibreWolf and Vivaldi, but Brave absolutely decimated the competition using just 1006 megabytes. However, I encountered a problem. Reddit blocked me on Brave. It turns out Brave's privacy shields were so aggressive that Reddit's network flagged the connection as suspicious. This is the first time I've seen privacy protection actually break the web. So, to keep things fair, I rerun the entire test without the Reddit tab. Every single browser dropped in RAM usage when I closed the Reddit tab, except for Chrome. Chrome actually increased its usage by 45 megabytes. This is a classic case of lazy garbage collection. If you find this kind of video useful, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. RAM is about performance, but privacy is about control. Even if you have nothing to hide, that doesn't mean you should have everything to share. To test privacy, I use the Electronic Frontiers Foundation Cover Your Tracks tool. We're looking at how these 7 contenders handle 3 specific threats: tracking ads, invisible trackers, and fingerprinting. At the bottom, we have Chrome and Edge, which does not surprise me. Both failed every single test out of the box. There is no blocking of tracking ads, no blocking of invisible trackers, and they both handed over a unique fingerprint. If you care for privacy, you should not use these browsers without heavy extensions. In the middle, we have Firefox and the newcomer Zen. They both got partial scores. They block some ads and trackers, but they play it safe as they don't want to break the websites. However, both still left me with a unique fingerprint. Vivaldi and LibreWolf are a step up. They successfully blocked both tracking ads and invisible trackers, providing a clean experience. But just like Firefox and Zen, they failed the final boss, fingerprinting. Finally, we have our winner. Brave is the only browser that passed every single privacy check, and in 2026, that's as close as you get to being invisible online. A browser can be private, it can be efficient, but if it feels slow, I'm not using it. To measure speed, I use the Speedometer 3.5 benchmark because it simulates real-world behavior. But before we get to the result, we have to talk about LibreVolve first. I ran the test multiple times and it threw an error every single time. Most likely, it blocked the scripts the benchmark relies on, so for this category, LibreVolve doesn't score. At the lower end, we have Zen with a score of 32.7. It looks like our Gecko-based newcomer is still focused on features rather than raw engine optimization. Firefox follows closely at 33.5. The Gecko engine is reliable and standard compliant, but in 2026 it's still trailing behind the Chromium giants in terms of raw execution. Brave is the first browser to cross the 40-point barrier. With a score of 40.6, it proves that world-class privacy can still keep up with the big boys. Vivaldi edges slightly ahead at 40.8, which is impressive considering how feature-heavy it is. In the second place, we have our baseline, Chrome. With a score of 42.7, Chrome is fast, consistent, and highly optimized for the modern web. And the fastest browser in this test is Microsoft Edge. With a score of 44.2, it clearly benefits from the deep Windows-level optimization. Before we talk about updates, we need to look under the hood, because this is where the real difference between browsers starts. There are dozens of browsers out there, but all of them run on just 3 engines. Only 3 code bases that basically power the entire internet. The first one is Blink. This is the engine behind Chromium. It's built by Google and powers Chrome, Edge, Brave, and Vivaldi. It's the industry standard for speed and compatibility, but it gives Google nearly total control over how the web is built. Second is Gecko, and it's being developed by Mozilla. It powers Firefox, Zen, and LibreVolve, and it's the last major independent engine left. If you don't want a Google-controlled web, this is your alternative. The last one is WebKit, Apple's engine. It's extremely efficient, but sadly locked into Apple's ecosystem. But there is a new contender, Ladybird, a completely new engine built from scratch in 2026 designed to break the Chromium WebKit dominance. Ladybird just hit alpha, which means it's exciting, but not usable yet. So, for today, the real-world battle is between Chromium and Gecko. And here's why this actually matters. The engine decides how fast security fixes reach you. If Google fixes a critical bug in Chromium, Google gets patched immediately. But every other browser that borrows that engine has to wait for Google to release the source code before they can even start building their own patch. I looked at the latest high-risk security patches from March 2026 and measured the delay for each browser. On the Chromium side, Google pushed an emergency patch on March 13th to fix a zero-day exploit. Microsoft hit the same day as Chrome, pushing their patch on March 13th. Vivaldi also delivered on the same day. They backported the fix and released a minor update instead of waiting for a full release. Brave landed their update on March 14th. A one-day delay is still respectable, but technically, there is a small exposure window. Now, let's look at the Gecko side. Firefox closed its latest batch of critical risks on March 10th. LibreVolve actually matched Firefox with the same day release on March 10th. The turnaround was lightning fast this time, but remember, while they were fast today, a community project can sometimes take a few extra days to merge if the maintainers are busy. Zen pushed its update on March 11th, one day after Firefox. For a browser still in beta, that's a strong result, but the exposure window was still present. If you want the absolute fastest security response, stick with the engine owners, Chrome or Firefox. But every single browser in this test delivered critical fixes within 24 hours. And in today's threat landscape, that's exactly what you want to see. This is the part of the video where it's entirely subjective, because at the end of the day, a browser either fits your workflow or it doesn't. I will start with Zen because it's the only browser where I personally felt the UI was on another level. It's a complete reimagining of the interface with its split view workspaces and the compact mode that hides the clutter until you need it. Vivaldi is in my eyes the undisputed king of organization. It has a productivity-first approach with two-level tab stacks and workspaces. But my favorite part is the web panels and page stealing. What I liked most about Firefox is the picture-in-picture mode. Being able to pop out a video and continue working across multiple tabs boosts productivity. Or completely destroys it, depending on what you're watching. Edge was the hardest one for me. It's powerful but also pretty crowded. That said, the built-in Copilot is genuinely useful as it can summarize documents or answer questions in your sidebar while you work. Chrome's strength is something you don't notice until it's gone. It's deeply integrated into the Google ecosystem and everything just works. After using it for 15 years, it feels invisible, and that's its biggest advantage. Brave gives you immediate feedback. Ads disappear and pages feel a lot cleaner. Its shield counter shows you a live count of block trackers, and you can see a metric of how much bandwidth you've saved. As for LibreVolve, there is not much to say. The UI is just plain. But none of this matters if your browser can't keep up with your life. Most browsers get this right. Chrome, Edge, Brave, Firefox and Vivaldi all offer full cross-platform sync. Zen is exciting, but not ready yet, as it still lacks an official polished Android app. There are community workarounds, but it's not the seamless experience I need for my daily work yet. Then there's LibreVolve. Because it's so obsessed with your privacy, it doesn't even have a built-in sync server. If you want to sync, you're relying on manual exports or third-party tools. And for me, that's a deal breaker. After analyzing the RAM, the privacy, the speed, the engines and the UI, we've finally seen which browsers are the safest and which ones are the most productive. After over 15 years of loyalty to Chrome, the data is in and it's time for me to make the switch. But before I announce my new daily driver, I have to give credit to the runners-up. In the third place, we have the Zen browser. It is easily the most exciting thing to happen to browser UI in years. But I can't ignore the high RAM usage, the speed gaps and the lack of a major mobile ecosystem. It's surely one to watch for the future, but it's not quite ready for my workflow today. In second place, we have Vivaldi. If you want a browser made in Europe that gives you total control of every single pixel, Vivaldi is incredible. It held up strong in every category, and honestly, it came very close to winning. But there can only be one winner. The browser that dominated the RAM efficiency and delivered the strongest privacy protection in this test, the winner is Brave. Brave is the only browser that felt like it was actually working for me instead of selling my data to the highest bidder. In 2026, where our data is the most valuable online currency, Brave treats it with the respect it deserves. But Brave is not perfect. Its aggressive blocking can break sites, as we saw with Reddit, and built-in crypto features might feel unnecessary for many users. Chrome was a great partner for 15 years, but the web has changed and Brave is built for what's coming next. But that's just my audit. Now I want to hear from you. Which browser are you using in 2026? And after seeing these numbers, are you planning to switch? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Raul, and I'll see you in the next one.